Newsmax's Hollywood reporter and legal analyst. Welcome to Focal Point today, James Hirsen.
Well, thank you. Good to be with you, Dr. Gina. How are you?
I'm sad, honestly. I loved Shirley Temple. I loved her movies. My children collected, they had all of her movies. And she was just what was right with America. And there's something about the phenom of Honey Boo Boo in contrast to Shirley Temple that makes me especially sad and somewhat cynical for our republic. I don't know. I want to get your take on it.
No, it is. When we think of what Shirley Temple was famous for in the 1930s, in these movies like Bright Eyes and Curly Top and Heidi, those were the films that came out, black and white films, during the period a lot of people call the golden era of Hollywood, when Hollywood subscribed to a written code. It was the Hays Code, a code where they avoided content that was indecent, content that they felt would harm the values of the country. Now, perhaps, it's debatable whether they went overboard, but there's no question that when we look at today's content, that we've gone overboard the other way to emphasize darkness, depravity, profanity, and we could just go on and on. And
so much
when you
so.
talk about Honey Boo Boo, it's just this whole reality television culture which emphasizes superficiality, for example, in the lifestyle of the Kardashians, or really a feeling of superiority of the audience, making fun of a group of people that are profoundly uneducated, a la the Honey Boo Boo family. So, but the amazing thing, some of the people have said to me this morning, Shirley Temple, was she still alive? They said they didn't know, because she was only 85. When you think of Shirley Temple in the 1930s, well, a lot of things people don't realize, she started her career at age 3.
Yeah.
She was a prodigy, and she retired at age 22. So she, and one of the things that she did, I think what's another contrast, in addition to Honey Boo Boo, is to look at child stars today, and so many of them lead troubled lives. Justin Bieber, we see acting out right now, surrounded by entourages, become famous at a time where they can't handle it. And
as their star begins to fade, James, the tradition we see now, instead of Shirley Temple retiring, getting an education, becoming an ambassador, becoming active and engaged in her civic world around her, instead of that, now what we see is these stars grabbing on to ever more shocking reinventions of themselves, starting, of course, with Cher and Madonna, and leading us now to Miley Cyrus, who you don't even recognize. The next time you see her, you won't recognize her. All you know about Miley Cyrus is that the next time you see her, she's going to look even more ridiculous, and she's going to be doing something even more absurd than her recent twerking episode. And that's what Hollywood has become, from the nobility, frankly, of the Ronald Reagans and the Shirley Temples and the John Waynes, and I could go on.
No, you're right. And here's the difference between those, and there are plenty today that manage to handle fame. But the problem is that in my experience, I've been an entertainment lawyer working with famous people, and I've been a musician myself and been around famous. And the problem of fame is that people, it becomes addictive, and it's never very long. It always fades, fleeting fame. It always fades. And people start, as you mentioned, they begin to become desperate to maintain it or accelerate it. And it's not just Madonna and Cher. But when you see what Beyonce did at the Super Bowl, when you see what Rihanna has done with her career, and two good examples, because they're just bundles of talent. They don't have to do it, but they feel compelled because they're so desperately afraid of losing the fame that they begin to act irrationally, and in the process lead a lot of their young fans down the wrong path. And there's no question that, in an attempt to outshock the next person, that yields a Miley Cyrus situation.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we're going to talk about the Olympics, which has sort of become the cornucopia of smut all in one tidy package for us. We're going to talk about that coming up in the next segment. But first, I want to talk about Hollywood's participation in the healthcare propaganda. You have written on this on your site, jameshirsen.com. But, I have gone on Fox News and talked about this extensively. Richard Simmons in his 6-hour twerking thing he did to try to get people to join, young people to join Covered California and pay the bill for the older people under Obamacare. But Hollywood has taken this really to a new level of overstepping what should be their day job, correct?
No, it is. I mean, look, the Obama administration, of course, is hand in hand with Hollywood. Hollywood's raised a lot of money for the Obama campaigns. Hollywood endorses Obama, and both the president and the first lady are wannabe celebrities. They both have broken records on the amount of entertainment shows they've appeared on, including late night shows, etc.
Yeah.
But so obviously, when the healthcare, the so-called Affordable Care Act, wasn't going over well image-wise, the White House turned to the image industry to try to help sell it. And they did it initially. They turned to Will Ferrell's company, Funny or Die, tried to create viral videos, had a whole bunch of big-name celebrities using the social media, including...
It's funny you mentioned that, James. I don't know if you know, I was actually on Comedy Central on Jon Stewart's show on exactly this topic, and their point was that the commercials coming out of conservatives were somehow improper because they showed an exam room with Uncle Sam leaning over an exam table to illustrate how you really don't want the government in your private health care matters. And they were trying to say, oh, isn't that so improper? The audacity of the status to call our commercials improper while what they are doing is so improper, and all we're doing is pointing to the impropriety of what they're doing. They just don't.
Actually, I thought that was quite a brilliant little production they did with the creepy Uncle Sam character.
Yeah, I did
love
too.
That. And by the way, Comedy Central, the only time I've ever appeared on Comedy Central is when they took a clip of one of my Fox News appearances and made fun of me. That's the only time I've ever been on there. But it's interesting to me. They have to acknowledge, everyone has to acknowledge that despite turning to the best PR people in the world and the best production people in the world and getting Katy Perry and Lady Gaga to tweet and Adam Levine, the sexiest man in the world, to tweet, it's been a failure. So now what they're trying to do, and they had a meeting in New York for the Writers Guild and with a group called Hollywood Health and Society, which is a Norman Lear-related group. The purpose of their meeting was, which by the way is going to take place, but the purpose of the meeting that they've set up is to embed Obamacare into the plot, into the scripts of television shows, feature films, and reality shows.
Yeah.
So that all of it, because they know that when you take an entertainment vehicle or product of content and you embed this, people's defenses are down, and it's some of the most effective, persuasive propaganda that there is. It's worked very well with all kinds of social issues over the last 30 years.
And that's the thing, don't you think, James? They're hitting on every front. They are so good at what they do. First of all, they own the narrative because many conservatives I know, many of us don't even have cable. Many of us don't even watch television. Many of us closely monitor what our children watch, conservatives. So, but you have those who are the low information voters who are glued to their television. And now they're not only glued to their television, but because of Obamacare and other horrible situations with our economy, they're out of work or they're just going to sit at home instead of work. And so they're going to be watching even more television. So they're going to be sitting there being blindly fed what this administration is feeding them, while this administration uses Hollywood, while this administration uses its own various agencies such as the IRS to come after organizations like FOA that I've talked about extensively, the conservative, or it's not even a conservative, it's actually a watering hole, as Jeremy Boring put it, a watering hole for people who have differing opinions outside of the mainstream of Hollywood. That's really what it is.
That is
and now
really,
they've come after,
by the way, that is
yeah.
a brilliant description, because a lot of people don't understand part of that fellowship, the watering hole as you call it, is because in Hollywood, where I have to work, liberals who consider themselves left of center, who may differ with the litany of political faith in Hollywood on the subject of the Second Amendment, for example. They think, maybe there should be a right to bear arms. They cannot discuss that. You cannot hold that view.
James, stay with us, because we're going to keep you into the next segment anyway. We're going to talk about the Olympics. James Hirsen, my guest. Stay with us for more Focal Point. I'm Dr. Gina, filling in for Brian Fisher today, and happy to be with you.